Welcome to John's Tarot. Thank you very much. I want to send a special thank you out to New Zealand. I had somebody who wanted me to mention them in New Zealand. In the last 30 days, who is listening to John's Tarot? Singapore, Japan, Australia, Hong Kong's been kind of a regular, Bangladesh, Canada, France, Philippines, Colombia, Ecuador, United Kingdom, Kenya, Kazakhstan, Myanmar, Nigeria, Sweden, and what states? I've got California, Virginia, New York, Florida, Georgia, Oregon, Alabama, Iowa, North Carolina, Arkansas, Kentucky, Nebraska. Welcome to John's Tarot. That's pretty cool, huh? All those different places.
Oh, far out, man.
Well, get ready. Get ready to take a trip.
Contact!
Switch on!
Switch on!
As we continue with the last episode in the runes, on the Nordic runes. And when you do the runes, when you take on a rune, when you look at it, there's more. It's more to it than just a symbol. You're taking in an entire mythology, an ancient culture, and an ancient view into an ancient culture, a personal view into an ancient culture. These things are all apparent when you take a look at them. In my definitions, there's a man named Bloom who did a diagnosis. I'm too much involved in healthcare. Who took a look? He took a deep dive into the runes, and he kind of developed some of his own descriptions. I use a combination. I use a little bit of Bloom's descriptions and a little bit of my own descriptions. So let's go ahead and we're just gonna get right into it. And what today I'm going to do is I'm going to do a definition of each rune. There's 24 runes in Elder Futhark. And then I'm going to, just so you have it as a reference, and then we'll do a quick Tarot and Rune reading. I think I have a pretty good question. My question will be, given the complexity of our current economic and political system, what is the best path for us to follow? That's kind of a neutral question, but we'll make it difficult. So let me move over to the definition of the runes. The first rune is Feo. Feo has to do with cattle or wealth. But it's a transient wealth or increase. The rune of power and control represents new beginnings and movable wealth. Euros, the rune of the wild ox, associated with primordial power, physical strength, and the forces of nature. The Urez was a ancient beast that no longer exists, very strong. And when you draw Urez, the runes are telling you have the strength and ability to continue. My next rune will be Thuraz. A giant or thorn. It's associated with danger, protective powers, and the courage to face challenges. It's also, according to some sources, it also has to do with standing at the doorway, at the threshold. And I've also talked about thresholds. And Zeus, God, thought to mean the breath of Odin. It's associated with wisdom and the power of the spoken word. Sometimes wisdom comes to us through different methods. Sometimes it'll come to us through YouTube. Sometimes it'll come to us through something somebody says. And then when you draw the rune Ansus, it's asking you to listen because there's a message for you. Radio. Radio is a rune of riding as in a cart or as cargo. Advice, you're going on a journey. You're taking a trip. Taking a trip, not taking a trip. Most often means that you're going on a journey. It may be a part of your job. It may be a trip related to something else. It might be a spiritual trip, a spiritual journey. But you're going to take a trip. There's going to be some change. The Rudis rune is called Kenaz. And Kenaz has to do with a torch or a light. Many times it'll be shining a light on a certain issue that's been dark to you, that you don't have all the information to. So you're going to get Kenaz, a light. Gabo, it looks like an X. Gable has to do associated with generosity, partnerships, the exchange of energy and resources. Many times it has to do with the partnership between you and your higher power or spiritual gifts. Spiritual gifts are worth nothing unless you share them with somebody else. Wunjo looks like the letter P. Joy of success associated with joy, success, the attainment of personal goals. And it's also has to do with like a fruit bearing tree. The tree is now bearing fruit. That's what the little P is like on the top. Helgaz, it looks like the letter H. Helgaz has to do with the hailstorm. Hailstorms come when we have a hailstorm, but they don't last forever. And when they're past, you have a cleansing, a opportunity for new beginnings. But hailstorms has to do with often disruptions in our life, disruptions in our routine. Nathis, need, associated with constraint, the challenges we must overcome. Also has to do with delay, sometimes waiting on the will of the gods, waiting on the will of the divine in order to move before you may move through. Isa looks just like a straight line associated with stillness, isolation, and need for introspection and self-reflection. Also has to do with like crossing across an ice field. You want to move across the ice field carefully and gingerly and listen to hear if that ice is cracking. That is the rune Isa. So you may be in a delicate situation and you need to move carefully. Rune Jira. Jira is the rune of success, rewards, after accomplishment, cooperative relationships, harvest. That you have prepared the ground and planted the seed. Now you must cultivate with care. That is the rune of Jira. It's one of my favorite runes. Iwaz. Iwaz is a room of transformation, safety. You've set your sights on a reasonable target. There may be a slight obstacle to overcome, maybe a delay, but help will arrive. Rune Iwaz, balance, enlightenment, endurance, trustworthiness. The rune Pertho looks like a dice cup. It has a couple of meanings. One meaning is, life is a game, and the game is in session, and you're rolling the dice. You're taking a chance. It also has to do with the phoenix. You're soaring. Advising you to soar above your problems, take a look down on them in order to see them as a soaring bird or as the phoenix. Algaz, the rune of the hunt, the rune of the elk, encourages you to move forward, but move forward carefully, as if you were hunting an elk. And as you move forward, you take careful steps. And if you're careful and you move forward with caution, your hunt will be successful or your efforts will be successful. Swulu. That is the rune of energy and revelation, honor, resources, guidance, happiness. You have the power to bring things to fruition. Good fortune awaits. It also has to do with light over darkness. You're bringing the light over a dark situation. Tiwaz, that is the warrior's rune. The warrior's rune suggests Norse god of war, the need for courage, now as victory is assured, if your heart remains true. It also sometimes requires you, as a warrior knows, to make careful steps because you just don't go and make your move without thought. You sometimes have to be a little patient and wait for the timing right before you make your next move. Tiwaz. Berkana looks like the letter B. Berkana, key to energies that promote female archetype, flexibility, growth, fertility, healing, and nurturing. It also has to do with new beginnings, new starts. You're being nurtured by the universe. That's why they kind of look like a woman's breast. You're being nurtured by the breast of nature. Iwaz, it looks like the letter M. And that has to do with a horse. That is the goal, the rune of the horse. The horse being a noble beast that carries you on to success. So you kind of ride the wave, but do it with dignity, like a horse. Do it with class, like a real good horse. Manus. Manus is, I always like this room, and it comes with these weird associations of mankind, interdependence, destiny, the higher mind. But it also means looking at yourself. You see, it's like two M's pointing at each other. Do some introspection and think about what you're doing. Take a look at yourself. The rune Manus. Langus. Langus is the rune of the tides. I've often seen that one. It's like the tide goes in, the tide goes out. Currents. It has to do. It's a very female rune. The woman's monthly cycle is of something visual of Langus. Ingus. The root Ingus has to do with seed, fertility, potential, successful conclusions, fertility, peace and harmony. It also has to do, and I've run into this one, the end of the beginning, emerging from a chrysalis, emerging from a cocoon. There was a maturation period, and now you're emerging, and it's a new beginning. The rune Ingus. The rune Othelia. My pronunciation is not that good. Othelia, and that is the rune of home, acquisition, legacy, inheritance, prosperity. Maybe it might be telling you you've inherited some issues from your past life. You've inherited some issues from your family, or you might want to and you've inherited ways of doing things that might prove successful in a problem that you have. The rune Dagus it's a really nice rune. I kind of like that one, and that is the rune of evolving change, transforming transforming nature, prosperity, growth, alleviating negativity, bringing light into day. That seems to be a common motif with the runes. Now let me move over to the tarot reading. There I go. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love. And the runes, that's just something I learned. And you can learn them too. The one nice thing about learning the runes, there's only 24 of them. And you can learn the basic meanings of each one. And it's a simple method of divination, but a simple method, but it brings a lot of depth. So let's go ahead and shuffle cards. What was my question? Given the complexity of our current economic and political systems, what is the best path for us to follow? I think that's a good question. I'm asking the question without taking any sides. Given the complexity of our current economic and political systems, everybody knows the economy is not doing that well. Everybody knows our political system is has a lot of conflict in it. And given these situations, what is the best path for us to follow? We'll see what the symbolic systems have to offer us. And I do these as an experiment. And it's fun. It's just a fun experiment. So, given the complexity of our economic and political systems, what is the best path for us to follow? And I'll throw a card and a rune. Actually, I'll throw all three cards. And as I throw the rune, I'll go ahead and I'll read them. The first card is the Chariot. Second card is the Two of Cups. Third card is the Seven of Wands. It's kind of interesting. Now, so some runes. Odin, please help guide this reading for the Chariot and our complicated economic and political system. What can you tell us? And this rune is Sulu, which I had talked about. So the Chariot, the Charioteer, that is actually one of the, there's growth going on, there's change. As we look at the card, you see a charioteer, and there's a black sphinx and a white sphinx, and they're pulling the chariot. You notice the charioteer himself does not have any reins. And that is probably both our political systems, and we are trying to control ourselves in the chariot as it moves forward. We have the democratic system, the republican system, and as a charioteer, we need to be in control of our emotions, of our thoughts, of our actions, and make wise decisions. And in that ability to make wise decisions, you will bring some light over darkness or success, the rune Sulu. For my second one, for the Two of Cups, give me a little enlightenment on that one. Lighten that one up. And this rune is called, I think that was Feyu. Something. The rune is Feyu. Feyu has to do with, first the card, relationships, higher power, involvement in relationships, your higher sense of thought, your higher sense of thinking, your higher sense of judgment, and relationships. Our relationships with people that don't agree with you politically, maybe. And you need to balance those relationships. And if you can do that, that'll bring some wealth to you. That'll bring that skill will bring you wealth that you could take with you no matter where you go. The rune Feyu, the cow. Sometimes wealth is not just cash. Sometimes not just cows, not just finance. It's wisdom and strength and ability to navigate difficult relationships. And the last rune for the Seven of Wands is Dagaz. On the Seven of Wands, you see a guy in competition. And these are very competitive. People have competing views, competing perceptions of reality. And this card actually asks you to push a little harder than you normally would. Work a little harder than you normally would. You have the ability to surmount these times. You have the ability to compete during these times, but you're going to have to work a little harder than normal. And then the rune, Dagaz, has to do with bringing light over darkness, a breakthrough. And if you can do that, if you can push a little harder than normal, you will get a breakthrough and you will push through these difficult times. So the first card, Chariot, with Sulu, balance the two energies that are going on through our society and bring some light into darkness. The second card, the Two of Cups, over Feyu. Relationships with people with different ideas, different perceptions. And if you could do that, that is a type of spiritual wealth you could take with you. And then the third card is Seven of Wands and Dagaz, and it has to do with competing ideas, competing points of view. Push a little harder. These are difficult financial times. These are difficult economic times. But if you push a little harder, you can push a little harder, work a little harder than normal. You can overcome them. And the potential is out there, Dagaz, and that will bring you a little light into the darkness that you may be facing. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot!
Well, it was my pleasure. I hope you enjoyed this little three-part series on tarot and runes. And I hope maybe you practice with it a little bit. I've updated my webpage. Go ahead and take a look at that. I've put, especially on the contact page, go ahead and take a look at that. And I hope to hear from you. And you be careful, be cool, be kind, and I will talk to you again real soon. Okay, bye-bye.